Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever you are, or whatever time you may be watching this. Welcome to the 10th episode of the LVM Podcast. My name is Rebecca Benny, and today on this episode, I will be talking about my grief during the holidays due to my mother's homicide. The holidays are here, and I feel like it's really important to talk about people who have lost a loved one and how they feel during, the holiday season. Because, the holiday season is about being with your family and spending time with your loved ones and bonding with them. And, a lot of special moments really happen during the holidays. This has been another topic of mine that I have, avoided thinking or talking about only because it's just something that is really related to my mother. And if you guys have been following my journey so far, you already know that my grief is full of avoidance. And, this is no different when it comes to the holidays. While growing up, the main two holidays I would say that my family celebrated during this season would be Thanksgiving and Christmas. Halloween wasn't really something my family did, for religious purposes or whatever. And plus, I never really cared, even though all my friends did it. It's weird because talking about holidays, like I said, is something that I avoided. And, I came to a realization recently that, my mother was the one that mainly did everything. She was the reason that we even, celebrated holidays in the first place, only because my family just never really cared. Halloween was one of those holidays that I was kind of restricted from celebrating. And, my mother would be the one that was more open to me celebrating. And, I was one of those kids that didn't go trick or treating, for religious purposes. And, but she would be the one that would she respected that part of my family that didn't really celebrate it, but at the same time, she kind of wanted me to have that type of experience as a child. So she would be that one to take me somewhere to go trick or treating, but then also be kind of restricted. Which I guess, I would say I kind of appreciated from her. When it comes to Thanksgiving, I don't really think there is really anything special that she would do, but when it comes to Christmas, that woman went crazy over it. She was the one that would set up the Christmas tree, put all the lights and every single thing that you could think of with Christmas. I mean, we were pretty restricted with the decorating only because we live in an apartment and, there's really not much you could do. Plus, our living situation was something else. But, besides that point, she would be the only one at her job who had that Christmas spirit or the holiday spirit to decorate the store. She even bought her own Christmas tree for her store. She would put lights up everywhere. And, this is something that I really didn't understand why. I remember my dad would ask her when I was in high school, why are you still putting up a Christmas tree? Rebecca's not a kid anymore. You don't have to do this. And she's like, well, I'm still doing it, And the fact that I wasn't close with her and I didn't really know much about her, I didn't realize that, Christmas in general was such a huge thing in the Philippines. I mean, my mother was Filipino, so it's the more I started to learn about her family and her culture, I'm just Filipinos just really go crazy over Christmas for some reason, which is fine. I respect it. You guys get in the holiday spirit. That's great. It's just something that wasn't really passed down to me. So I never really understood the joy of going crazy over Christmas. And over these past few years, being without her, I've come to the realization that, she was the reason that we kind of had that Christmas joy in my family. It's this weird emptiness that, that I started to feel over the years. Like, the holidays haven't been the same, between my father and I, we're the only ones that kind of like, obviously, deal with the immediate response and feelings of like losing her. And I don't know how to explain it, if I'm going to be honest. It's like, the fact that she was the one that did all the decorations, it's like none of us really put in that effort to actually get a tree or like decorate anything. And my other family members, they celebrate like, the occasional like holiday dinners. They do what they have to do, but it's like, I feel like everyone just has this like weird awkwardness. We know something is different, yet we don't really say anything. I mean, okay, I don't say anything, if I'm going to be honest. My family, they have nothing. They're pretty open like about like losing my mother. Like, I remember them talking about still having a few gifts from her. And, wow. Sorry, all the memories are really just rushing in right now, which is really weird because I feel like I pushed all of these memories, like, back. I think I remember after the first Christmas, after losing her, one of my uncles was like, I still have, like, the toaster she gave me and, like, the chocolates that she gave me, like, for her gift. And then my other family members were like, for some reason your mom was really good at giving presents that, like, we never would have even thought of, like, wanting. And, it's just all these things that it's just like, that they would mention that I never really realized until, like, after she was gone. And I also remember, like, at her wake, when someone was giving their like speech about her. I don't know what the word is for it, but the main thing that they would mention was like her love for Christmas and just like decorating, and it's just kind of like one of those things which like you don't really realize what you had like in that moment until like it was actually gone, that I wish I had appreciated back then. I think a part of me probably feels like it's wrong to celebrate Christmas because she's not here. That's something that she did and it was her thing. I also remember that she would always convince me in our apartment to do these door decorating competitions for Christmas, which we pretty much did and win every other year, like every year. And we would get like this gift card for Target. And, I feel like that was definitely one of those bonding moments I did have with my mom. I feel like I do remember the first few years, celebrating the holidays without her. And, like, it's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of like hanging out with my family was used as a distraction. But then eventually I picked up a job that requires me to, like, work holidays also. And I used that as another way to avoid them and everyone else, like just to like avoid just the holiday spirit because I don't know, it just didn't feel right. So I haven't like been off on an actual holiday in probably like 4 years. And it's not like I'm proud about it, like I've said about avoidance, but it's like I think that's just one way I would have to cope because, my father would not be in the mood to go out either. It kind of just be like a drag, honestly, just to like do anything with anyone. And if we're not going out for the holidays, we're just sitting at home, like just it's like a normal day. And I would rather make money if I'm just gonna sit at home, if I'm gonna be honest. At least I can distract my mind and get something in return for it. So that's just what that's what my thought process is about it. I mean, besides Christmas, so Valentine's Day is also like one of those like odd holidays. It's not like an actual holiday, but I do want to mention it because over the past year or so, it's something that I've realized about my mom, as I continue to think about her and, reflect about things that she would do. As most of us may or may not know, there's these things called love languages and whatever. I don't know the details, but either way, it's like one of those things of how someone expresses their love. whether it's verbally, physically, like in a like gift type of way or quality time, all those things. And I think my mother's way of showing her love was probably like through gift giving for some reason. My mother and I were never close, but for every single holiday she would always give me like a small goodie bag of like different items. And I remember for like every single Valentine's Day, she never failed to always give me like a bag with like a rose or a teddy bear and just like all these weird little charms that that I mean, like I have most of the stuff, so I think I did appreciate it. It's just kind of like I did give her like this weird, how teenagers are. Like I would just be like, "Why are you giving this to me? Like I don't want this. I don't need this." But I still held on to it. Like even for St. Patrick's Day, the most like the day that people like to drink beer. Just like those weird odd things that she would always give me like something for those holidays. And it's kind of I think I kind of miss those things, and it's kind of a part of me is searching for that in my other relationships, which I still don't receive, especially during the holidays. Like, I'm grown, technically. I'm in my 20s, and my family is like, well, you're old enough to support yourself, so we're just going to give you all these dumb gifts that aren't meaningful. And here, take it for what it is. Like, that's not what I want. At least my mother, for some reason, I knew it was kind of like sentimental. It would be like these little things that meant like that had like odd meanings for some reason. So, which is why I appreciate it. Like everyone else, like around me, they just give you something just to give you something because that's what the holiday is. And I think that is what I'm realizing right now, which is weirdly, yeah, which is interesting. But either way, I do want to talk about how being alone for me, I feel like during the holidays sometimes is more beneficial than actually hanging out with other people during the holidays. And I'll explain why. I feel like people have a tendency to tell others when they're going through something to get out because it'll make them feel better. And honestly, I agree with that. I think like if you're going through something, don't have yourself too cooped up where you're just like avoiding the world, because we all need to get out eventually. It's good for our bodies. It's just how nature works. But I think that, being alone is also beneficial and more peaceful because we get to be with ourselves and our own thoughts and not like have other people cloud our judgment for what we actually need. Like we're the only people in this world that know what we need for ourselves in order to help ourselves. And it's like when I would be with my family, it would be like a nice distraction for me to like realize like, I'm thankful for the small things about like, I have the rest of my family here with me, but yet like I think the fact that I knew that I was missing something else is something that took over more than like the actual happiness that was happening, in my life. It's kind of like how you're like so sad because of how happy you are. I mean, I don't know. Is that weird to say? But I mean, I don't know. It just felt weird and out of place. And I don't know. It's just like when I hang out with my family, it's not as genuine, and I just want things to be more genuine and flow more. I just want to say that if you want to be alone during the holidays, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be alone and spending time with yourself or whoever is within like your small community or small group, I should say. And you shouldn't let others make you feel bad or feel like you have to hang out with them during the holidays because, you're the only person that knows what is best for you at the end of the day. And if you want to hang out with other people, then do that. Like, if that's what makes you feel better, then hang out with others, because that's also a great way to like spend the holidays so that you're not alone. It's all up to you, but I feel like people kind of look down upon spending alone time, and I love alone time. I love to be by myself, so I'm going to advocate for that, because sometimes loneliness is happiness. So I try to have this episode as short as possible, but I feel like I did discover a lot about myself, reminiscing through memories during the holidays, and yeah, some random memories did really pop up. But yeah, the main thing I did want to mention in this video also is about National Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month. That is definitely a mouthful, but every single word is very important. Why I'm talking about this is because actually in a few days, it's on November 20th, and it starts November 20th to December 20th. And it's important because this month, is raising awareness for all of us homicide survivors and for our families that have been murdered or, death by homicide, obviously. And it's a time where, everyone should at least think of someone who has been affected by homicide. And this month was chosen specifically, like this time period was chosen because it's during the holiday season, and to think about the families that are going to be mourning their loved ones during this time, as it is difficult because they won't be with their loved ones. During this time period, I will be posting the stories of survivors on my Instagram page at LVM Advantage. I will leave everything in my description box if you're watching on YouTube. If not, if you're listening to this on a podcast streaming platform, I'm going to spell it out for you so you can follow me on Instagram. If you would like to check out other survivor stories, it is at LVMADVNTGE. So make sure to give that a follow. But yeah, if you are a survivor and you are listening to this or watching this, and you would like to share your story, please check the link down below. I'll make sure it's the first one, and I'll have my email if you want to email me also. But I'll also have a submission form where you can talk about your holiday grief stories and talk about your grief and, what your loved one like to do during the holidays. This is all super important to share awareness and like what us survivors go through during the holidays or even daily, just throughout life, because our journey never ends. It's something that we have to live with for the rest of our lives. So yeah, I hope you guys will continue to join me on this journey of me sharing my experience of losing my mother to homicide. And I hope that you guys will continue to support me, and I thank you for watching. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and give this a thumbs up if you like this video. If you're watching or listening to this on a podcast streaming platform, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for this year. This is the last episode for 2021. I do have some exciting stuff coming for this podcast series next year. So definitely hope you guys will stay tuned for that. So yeah, I will definitely see you guys next year. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Bye.